if you don't have anything to do work-wise as an attorney, this is a really good time for you to get really caught up on your marketing. This is an opportunity.
Good starting point. And from there, it depends upon like how much money you have. You know, obviously we would recommend, hey, if you've got a couple of $100s a month to spend, go buy a paid link or a listing at lawyers.com or FindLaw. Stay away from Avo. Sorry, Avo. Or Justia. So Avo, you got de-indexed. You guys got to figure that out. Don't know what happened there, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I have a blog on it, which I'll send you after we're done. I mean, tanked.
Really?
Yeah, amazing.
Well, you know, obviously, now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't seen them in forever, but wow, never thought about that.
Totally off the charts. I haven't looked in the last 6 weeks to see if they've rebounded, but they almost were completely de-indexed in every major market on every major search. And if they weren't de-indexed, they were like, you used to be number 1 through 5 in search, competing for the same space as like a Super Lawyers or a lawyers.com or what have you, or Justia. And it was like a crisscross about a year ago. Justia here, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Avo on the way down, Justia way up.
Really?
Something like that. Anyway, it was really shocking. And so, like, as an example, we're running a pretty apples to apples comparison between Justia and Avo marketing campaign wise. A couple $1,000 in the month, nothing totally radical. And the conversions from Avo were like 10% of what Justia was starting to prove out. And, you know, then you start looking at traffic and SEO position. Then you get their sales reps on the phone. You're like, and because they want to renew your contracts. And they're like, and you tell me, like, this is a tough conversation to have. This isn't personal, but how come you guys were literally de-indexed? And she goes, I know. I can't talk about it, but you're right. I'm like, but your rates are the same. Anyway, sorry for the tangent.
No, it's all good. So I'm gonna back up. So
yeah,
I'm gonna do like a big intro for anybody that I have no idea how I'm gonna cut this video yet. So for anybody that watched all of that, it's Steven and I are very passionate about what we do. We got talking before I actually officially started this thing. So, hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Answering Legal's Everything Except the Law podcast. I am your host, as always, Nick Worker. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the podcast where we share expert advice on all parts of running a law firm that attorneys weren't exactly trained for back in law school. This is our third episode. And for it, we're joined by our good friend, Stephen Long, who I mentioned before. He's a longtime marketing consultant and the co-founder of Precision Legal Marketing. Stephen, thank you for joining us. It's not like I have to, like, start from scratch here.
No, thank you for having me. Listen, I gotta apologize to anybody watching this. COVID ate all my dress clothes. Like, it's gone through. And so I'm wearing this Carolina Hurricanes t-shirt because we're located right by the border, North Carolina, Virginia. And tonight is game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, round 1, which is a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals versus Boston. So I'm loving having this conversation, but as it presently counts, about 4.5 hours away from the puck drop. So that's my life. Anyway,
I knew that I would be in some way, shape, or form talking to you about hockey, and I am glad that I am prepared. But, like, obviously you want to, like, research people that you have on the podcast, and I know a little bit about you. And it's funny because I'm looking at your bio on your website and I'm reading all about you guys and everything you do. And I'm talking to Joe yesterday, and I always talk about Joe. Joe's like my right hand. If this was a person, this would be Joe. He's amazing, but he's like, you know, Steven's going to want to talk about hockey. I didn't know that you're a Carolina fan. So Joe,
not originally. I grew up in Los Angeles, and so I'm a diehard original LA Kings fan, but what are you going to do? I live here, so I got to cheer for him.
Yeah. I mean, like, you've probably been there a long time, so I feel like after a while you kind of get assimilated. So I can't imagine. Well, okay, so I'm gonna tell you why I'm a bandwagon fan. Is I was into hockey when I was a kid, and then, like, you know, I got older, I stopped watching hockey. So a couple of years ago, I got invited in my office to do a fantasy hockey league with everybody from the office. And they're all like, oh, you got to watch hockey, Nick. You got to watch hockey. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch hockey. Like, I'm just going to read, like, a bunch of the stats and everything, and I'm figure it out. I'm going to kick all your asses, right? And they're like, oh, no, this is the perfect year to be a hockey fan because we just got a brand new team. Like, it's the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, you should be a Vegas Golden Knights fan. They're going to suck. It's going to be like a decade before they're any good, but you should be. I'm like, great, sure. I'm going to be a Vegas Golden Knights fan. They buy me a hat for Christmas. What do you know? They went to the Stanley Cup, right? My team's great. I love it. They're a brand new team.
I mean, it was an amazing run, but it speaks volumes to the character of a team and what you want to accomplish when a bunch of people are moving in the same direction together. I mean, not to get cheesy, but I mean that's what that was about. And they're my pick to be in the finals this year on the West.
They're killing it right now.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see. There's a lot of good teams in there right now, but it's so it's weird. This is not a hockey podcast, so I can't. I'm sorry.
Not yet. But
so for everybody that doesn't know you specifically, which I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't have heard of you by now. I'm just sorry. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your experience working with law firms and I mean, I think this is really interesting. So like why you founded Precision Legal Marketing.
I mean, I founded this marketing agency because I was sick and tired of seeing it done the wrong way. And I guess maybe that's a little bit cliche, but having worked for one of the nation's largest law firm marketing companies, if you will, Martindale Hubbell, lawyers.com, I saw things done the wrong way even there. And so it was important for me to make sure we did things right from day one. So we spent years building technology and tools and learning and listening and we are a full service marketing agency serving the law firm sector nationwide from coast to coast. And we're super proud of what we're doing and how we're doing it.
You guys do a great job. And we have the Let's Talk Legal Marketing group. I just remember when we first started out, and I actually have to, I owe you a thank you actually, is, we just, a lot of like what my team does is we try to just kind of, and I always say this, I want to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time, right? So if I get a legal marketing group where a bunch of lawyers want to talk about legal marketing and stuff, that's the right person. And eventually if I inculcate a relationship with them, I can sort of cultivate them as a customer, but not in like a creepy, like, oh, well, that's my end goal, but like in a way that when they actually need me, I'm there. I'm part of their community, That's where I want to hang out, and that's where I do business. So I owe you and your team a debt of gratitude because you guys contribute so much to this group and you provide so much value to everybody that I'm sorry?
We try to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I keep waiting for you to show up in our group, but I'm
invite
kidding.
me.
I'm kidding. I think you're there. But anyway,
no,
so your group, actually both of our groups are two of the largest law firm marketing Facebook groups on Facebook now. And both of them started from nothing just a couple of years ago, right? And engaging people and I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job growing that group. You're way more active in your own group than we are in ours, although we're starting to fix that. But ours is named Legal Marketing Straight Talk because I think that really speaks volumes about who we are. We straight talk everything, everybody, all the time because people need the truth. And any content that I've ever committed to your group, I've tried to keep within that same vein of, don't sugarcoat stuff and people are just chasing answers. That's why they come to the group because if they have questions, you need to, I don't know.
I call it legal marketing crowdsourcing. Like if you want some advice and you go to the group, like there's a lot of people there who, and obviously only a few people are going to have expertise in this one specific question you're asking, but people will come in and be like, does anybody have experience doing this and this in this area? And I'm like, somebody's going to know it. And they're half an hour later, somebody's commenting, hey, I can help you with this. I've done this. I know somebody who can do this. Let me, I PM'd you. And, it's even better when people post the public response, right? Is because if that's something you're like, oh, wow, I never thought to do that. That's a cool idea. And somebody posts a response. This is how I did it. This is how you should do it. This is the person you should contact in order to get this done and facilitate it for you. I mean, that helps more than just one person. I think I always think it's really cool and I learn a lot from it. So I definitely enjoy it. I want to ask you because we were just talking about this and you say this is such an important part. I know that I've seen you guys talk about this and, it's obviously much more important for lawyers is local SEO, right? Like there's not a lot of people or there's not a lot of law firms out there, especially like small guys that can really handle like a full country of clients, like They're only looking to, most of the time, I'm speaking most of the time, they're looking to serve their local vicinity, population, whatever you want to call it. So I do want to talk about local SEO with you, and your sort of your outlook on it, your strategy, and what you would tell people, or how you would advise somebody to get started with local SEO. Say they just put the sign on the door, like you said, nailed it to the door, attorney at law, I'm ready to go. What's your advice to them?
Well, so that's a terrific question, and here's what my advice is: figure out what your name is legally. So it could be John Smith, P.C. and make sure that that name and that exact address, including the suite number, spelled STE or SUITE, whatever your preference is. Are you going to use the hyphenated zip code or not? Again, whatever your preference is.
I didn't know where you were going with this at first, and now I saw where you're going.
Take that NAP, that NAP data, name, address, and phone number, and go to Google, open a Gmail account right now, and go to Google My Business and set that up with that data that you scripted out and predetermined. Put that into there and get that approved using various methods which change daily from Google. And you're off and running. And then from there, make sure that anywhere you can build a business listing or an address, I'll tell you where you should start. You should stay away from Yext. Sorry if that hurts you. And I'll tell you why in a second. And you should go to a place called brightlocal.com. We build citations at brightlocal.com all day. Go to brightlocal.com. You can spend a few bucks building some citations there. You can build them for free. It'll tell you what the top 30, 40, 50 citations you should be building, what they are. And if you want to read some blog content about local SEO, great source is Bright Local. Now, the reason why you should not sign up for Yext is because if you decide you don't want to pay Yext's fees, they will pull any listings and citations down off the internet that you built, even if you built. So if you built them through their platform, they're gone. So go to Google My Business, go to Bright Local, build 25 to 50 local citations, and then put up a web page. Those are the two things that you need to do right out of the gate.
I'm sure that people who watch this podcast think that I'm such like a pandering, just little weasel, because I agree with everything that people that come on this podcast say. But you just got a huge round of applause, proverbially.
Can we mix that in like some canned applause?
I will, yeah. Woo. I hope that we have that sort of track back there. Otherwise, that's really awkward. But so I started the marketing department with my boss 6 years ago. And what we were originally going to do is we were going to do like what you do. We were going to provide SEO, local SEO, and sort of all those marketing services for our customers. Obviously, we got very far away from that. We don't want to get involved in that for business reasons. But we were a Yext partner when we first started out.
So was I.
I'm sure. And so how this goes is that relationship failed. And when I really was learning about like the importance of local SEO and everything that you're saying is spot on, I found that when I was creating my own listings, a lot of the listings that you look for are actually owned by Yext. So not only do they pull down the other ones, but you have to be careful when you're creating those listings to make sure that they're not owned by like some sort of shady, underbelly of like a site, what I would call like a private citation network. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's actually a really good description of what it is.
Google frowns upon PBNs, a private backlink network. For those who don't know what that is, that's when you farm backlinks and you do it illegally in a way that Google frowns upon. And they're sort of, listen, they're going to catch up on this eventually, but I use whitespark.ca. They were just recommended to me. I have connections there. So but Bright Local's great. And I can't understate the importance of what Steven is saying. Is you have to pick your business name, and the business name and all the information that you put into that Google My Business account has to match everywhere. That's it. It has to match everywhere, and the number of citations is important, like you were saying. But on your website, that your business name has to be the same. Your phone number the same. If you use dashes, if you put the 1 for the country code, if you put the parentheses around the 6, around the area code, it's all super important. The comma, if you put suite number with the pound sign for number, it has to match perfectly.
Well, and there's a reason for that. So we're in law firm marketing. One of the most prolifically spammed verticals on the internet is law firms. I can take and so Google looks for those discrepancies in your listings because it's a lot of times it's looking for spam. So you ever go Google something right now, go Google a law firm, a big law firm in your market, and look and see if you can find addresses or names of the same law firm without addresses on Google. That's those spam listings. And so that's why you want to make sure, one of the reasons why you want to make sure everything is lined up. The other is you want to be accurate. I mean, it's just like, think of it like accounting, right? You wouldn't file your taxes with, some weird number that isn't actually reflective of your income or your expenses. So it's the same thing. So.
Or you would, but that's
I would
neither. I wouldn't. I'm just kidding. So I kind of want to shift gears because obviously the time that we're in, there's a lot of small law firms and big law firms that are struggling right now due to the pandemic, due to their significant loss in call volume. And I'm sure that you deal with this on a day-to-day basis. Steven, how do I get phone calls, blah, blah, blah. So what sort of advice would you give a law firm that's seen a significant drop in phone calls since the pandemic began?
Yeah, not necessarily an easy answer. And you may be able to back this up, but first off, let's start off with practice areas. It's practice area dependent. If you're wondering what's trending, what's up right now, obviously, is family law. Anything custody related, anything divorce related, absolutely through the roof. Estate planning, same thing. Bankruptcies, you would think, are absolutely not trending well right now. But personal injury is a complete mystery at the moment. And if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But with what we've seen on our end with our clients, it's not that they're dead, but it just hasn't returned to any sort of normalcy despite people driving around crashing into each other. And I don't know about you, but people are driving worse than they ever did before. There's some questions about are insurance companies willing to settle right now, knowing that you could threaten litigation all day long, but good luck getting a court date in the next 3 years. So there's all kinds of things surrounding personal injury. And I think the important thing to do there is play the long game. Don't freak out. If you're a solo or 2 or 3 person firm and you're used to dealing with maybe 300 open files or 400 open files and you're down into the 200s and starting to freak out a little bit, don't. Stay the course, play the long game. If you've got extra time, write content, write blogs, work with a ghostwriter to write them for you. Call me if you want, and I'll give you some referrals, or you can hire us to write them for you, whatever. But and I'm not pandering here, but that's really the direction you need to go. Is don't freak out. If you're in family law right now and you're not busy, that's when you need to call somebody like one of us.
I couldn't agree more with that. That's a statement and a half.
I'm sorry, but if you're in family law and you're not absolutely overwhelmed with business, then we need to talk because we could fix that. But just in this time, because we're not out of COVID. It's funny. I did this podcast a couple weeks ago, and a couple months ago, and before we started talking, we agreed we weren't going to discuss coronavirus because at the time, everything was trending back down, and we're like, well, we want to have like some shelf life for this discussion. And now, like, that's just out the window. Like, we've pretty much figured out we're living with this for a while. And so play the long game. The biggest piece of advice, there's 2 pieces of advice I give anybody in any practice area. Call your clients, every single solitary one of them. Over-communicate with them. Use this period of time to train your staff how to over-communicate because guess what? Most of them probably aren't super good at it. And that's okay. They can be taught. Get your paralegals to make phone calls for you if you're not comfortable with it. We know you're a lawyer for a reason. You don't want to be on the phone with clients. I get it. But you as a firm, as a business owner, need to communicate with every single client that you have on a very regular basis. Make sure that you're willing to answer questions. You know what? Do the nice thing and, mention on a call with them you're not going to bill a quarter hour even though you went over your meeting, whatever. Take care of people. That's number one. The second thing, which is near and dear to my heart, is write content. Write good, high quality content for your website. Write good quality content for your website. And you can call me and ask me what you should write. Write what you want to write about. Just write something high quality and unique, and in your own voice. And if you're in a firm that maybe is a little larger than yourself, and you've got 2 or 3 or 4 folks there, chances are somebody likes to write. Put them to work. If they're on your payroll, put them to work. Hold them accountable. Am I getting too intense?
No, you're not intense at all. I feel like my neck is going to fall off because I'm just nodding with you because you're just speaking the truth.
Check this out. So March 15th, New York City lockdown. I've got a New York City firm absolutely freaks out on me. Big divorce firm, one of the biggest in the city, Midtown Manhattan, 5-figure rent, like the real deal, right? I don't know, 8, 9, 10 attorneys. 8, I think 9 attorneys at the time. They freak out, shut everybody down, send everybody home. And if you're listening, guys, I'm sorry, I'm telling you a story. So they call me like the Monday. So Friday they're like, yeah, everybody's, we're done. They call me up on Monday and say, what the hell should we do? And I go, well, how many attorneys do you have? And again, this is early on. We're trying to figure out what to do, right? Well, I got 8. And you kept them on the payroll, right? They're all still working for you? Yes. But we can't afford to do that for long. We've got nothing going, like, it's New York, right? I go, tell them each to write 2 blogs a day for the next week. 2 blogs a day for the next week. Set up a conference call for the morning. We'll talk about what to write. Within like 3 or 4 days, we posted 23 or 4 blogs of 1,000 words or greater. And I am not even kidding you. If I shared my screen right now, I could show you. We doubled their website traffic. Doubled. It was all COVID-related, divorce and family law matters, child custody matters. It ended up going down all kind of rabbit holes we'd never been down before. What about that? It was great. We were having weekly conference calls, just talking to a law firm with 8 attorneys on the phone about writing blogs. Like, I was going to fall over, man. I was like, this is crazy. But it works. We doubled the traffic. So the next question you're going to ask is, well, did it stay that way? Scarily, yes. And they're now obviously back in the office, open and running, and absolutely crazy busy hiring people. And yeah, so, and that's not the only content story. I mean, there's certainly that was super successful. And it was in a major geographic area, but it doesn't matter. You could be sitting in, I've got a client in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Do you know where that is?
No, I'm not going to pretend.
It's on the other side of the water from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, I believe it or not, was just in Omaha like 6 months ago.
Great town, right? Been through great town. Council Bluffs. Well, they started writing content very early on as well, and had similar success with that. So anybody, anywhere can do it. You're feeding. Google is an animal that likes to eat. And as much as we were talking before the podcast really kicked off about, John Mueller, who's at Google, and Gary is at Google, and Barry, and all those guys at Google that release limited and strange information about what you need to do to be successful at SEO. The one thing that they all agree on is content. Content is still king, and it has to be unique. So write something.
It's so funny. Like, everything that I know about SEO can be boiled down into like specific updates. And we're talking about this before. There's an update. You have to follow the update. You have to change things according to what they just decided is now the new, standard of the one thing that everybody's been messing up on. Like I'll talk about page speed, right? Like 2 years ago, it was page speed. And if your page speed was below like 3 seconds, you got slammed. If you got it past 3 seconds, you waited a month, you were good, right? And I just feel like every single time that there is an update that comes out, they say, we changed this, we changed this, we changed this. But as always, our broad advice to all SEOs and everybody who wants to do search marketing is create a better experience for your customers. And how do you create a better experience for, like, what's on your computer screen that people really, it's content. It's just words. All you need is, like you're saying, high quality 1,000-word count blog posts of interesting stuff, right? High quality stuff that people want to read about something that you're passionate about. Like, I'm not going to read something from somebody who's not passionate about a subject, because what are they offering me? They're offering me nothing. They're offering me no valuable insight, no motivation, no keen understanding of anything that they're putting out there, right? So I find it funny because I was talking to the other members of the group, right? The two previous podcasts I had done, I'm talking to Michelle Calcote King, and I was talking to Robert Gruler. And Robert Gruler is from the Gruler Method. Michelle Calcote King is from Reputation Inc. Shout out both of you. Thanks for being on the podcast. And Michelle and I are talking about, like, this was what did we do this 2 months ago? And this is when, like, COVID was still, where everybody was like, I don't know, man, like, this thing is going to go on for a long time. And we're talking about what should people be doing right now? And she's like, well, it's quiet. If you don't have anything to do work-wise as an attorney, this is a really good time for you to get really caught up on your marketing. This is an opportunity. And it sounds corny, right? Like, you can, and here's what you're saying, right? You call the person on the phone, tell them you're not going to book for that extra quarter hour. And hey, by the way, could you write me a review? It would really help during these crazy times. Oh, sure, man. You did a great job for me, and you're not going to bill me a quarter of an hour. I'm going to go write you a great review. I'm going to write you a testimonial, and you can do a case study on it. Like, the coronavirus hit me, I had nothing, right? No lawyers wanted an answering service while clients aren't gonna call. I promise you, it happened for like 2 months, and I'm worried. I'm like, what am I gonna do? My website. I make a living on being able to drive leads from the website to this. What am I gonna do? And what did we do? Is we hunkered down. We created a lot of content. We started doing this podcast to help lawyers get through this time. And what do you know? My traffic, like you said, it's not double, but I'm up 35%.
Yeah.
I'm up 35% coming out of, like, the worst 2 to 3 months I have ever seen. So if anybody still is like, I don't have nothing to do, I don't have no clients, not only should you follow this advice and focus on sort of like your vertical and implementing these strategies, but, like, this is the time. You're not busy. If you're going to stay open, you're going to survive. You have a lot of time right now to get really, really caught up.
Call your mark. I mean, so we got absolutely decimated. Incoming calls from current clients who, we talked to, but we haven't, like, really had a deep conversation in maybe a year or two, right? And it was really, I will say it's a blessing that we got really close to a lot of our clients over this period of time, just got to know them better as people, because we spent time with them talking about ideas, because they were all freaked out, especially before PPP was available, like that month and a half or whatever window when nobody knew how anybody was going to pay anything. Everybody was freaked out, and good, solid, calm advice was kind of hard to come by, and we tried to be that, right? But I would say, if you're out there kind of scratching your head too, and it's later in the coronavirus, time frame, if you will, but get your marketing agency on the phone. Get whoever's doing your marketing, get them on the phone. Ask them what you're buying, what you're paying for. Ask them how it's working, what their opinions are, what else they have that could be benefiting you. I don't care, even if you're doing business with FineLaw or whoever is your Scorpion. Get them on the phone. Find out what your metrics are. Learn a little bit. Take a little bit of time. Y'all passed the bar. Seriously, it's not that hard to figure out a couple of things that you could be doing during the pandemic. And oh, by the way, it wasn't just March, April, May, June that was totally sideways. We have now shifted a lot of practice areas that would have been busier during that time frame. That has now moved forward. Like family law is a great example. Child custody issues, huge right now. But what happens when different parts of the country start actually going back into school, right? What happens when people start figuring out, damn, I lost half of my summer with my kids, or whatever the issue is there. They're going to start litigating some of that, or at least wanting to litigate some of that. So you need to be prepared to be in a position to pick up that new client. And writing content, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I did a live webinar with I'm sure you're in his group too, is Andy Stickle of Social Firestarter. Yeah. So we did a live webinar. We're talking about this, and I've said this on probably 2 podcasts so far, but I will never forget. And don't feel bad, because I don't even know who you are. Like, whatever. Like, the person who asked, I'm an estate planning attorney. How do I continue to get new clients right now without preying on people's fears? And this was at, like, the very start of coronavirus. And we're like, me and Andy we were like clawing each other to like we're like, get out of the way, I can handle this. You know what I mean? Like, you're not preying on people's fears. You're not. You're supposed to be helping people, right? People need help, right? We're gonna go back. We're gonna send kids back to school. We're eventually, you know, the government's gonna tell us we have to, or maybe we're not, you know. And these family lawyers are gonna have to get involved. And these are unfortunate circumstances, but you are helping people. You are helping people. If you're not there to help them, they have nowhere else to go. They can't do it by themselves, you know. So
That's right, and you're there in a community, which is why local SEO makes even more sense than it ever has. Not to draw it back into local SEO, but you know, you're not getting, you know, the people that need your help. Most of you, as an attorney, they live, work, eat, sleep, and breathe within 15 miles. Right, most, not all, most of them. And so spend a little bit of time cementing your community reputation. Spend a little time on social media. It's just the fundamentals are what you really, you know, it's just like sports, right? You know, the fundamentals are what you practice right now. If you're in the off season.
it's the off season. I was just gonna say that.
It's the off season. Practice the fundamentals. You know, the other thing too, that because we talked a lot about content, and the other thing that never gets talked about, right? I don't know what the numbers would be. It's probably, I would guess, 30 to 40% of all law firms that have been in business longer than 10 years, somewhere in there, I would guess, probably have had text on their website written 5 to 10 years ago by some vendor somewhere that is probably very similar to most of the other websites out there on the earth. So if you're not going to write blogs, take a look at your website content. It may be an easier place for you to start, because you're in like a page of practice area specifics, and there's maybe some case law cited and that sort of thing. So it may be a little more digestible for you to start on your website content. Maybe some of you have written it before. Change it. Don't be afraid. Add to it. Make it receive. Here's the thing about, I could go on and on, right? We talked about SEO before the call started. You know, of all the signals we're getting from Google and us as SEOs are getting, and they're just that, they're smoke signals, believe me. Or it's all about, the future's all about machine learning. So make your text more readable to the human, so that the machine that's designed to think and read like a human can pick up on what text is on your site and know what to rank you for. You know, so that's the kind of thing you should be doing right now. And if hopefully you did it in April when it was really slow, and I hope that everybody's, you know, busy right now. That's my goal, is for everybody out there to be busy. But
So, I mean, it's getting late in the year, right? But maybe what I'm going for here is that I want to sort of talk about what we kind of think could be the trend for the rest of 2020 going into 2021, right? Is there anything that you've noticed besides like the normal, like putting content out, right? Is there anything that you've noticed as like a marketing trend for your customers or for our specific industry that that you think really could like catch fire?
yeah, I do. I think it's some shape and form of video marketing. Doing what you and I are doing, so much more effective than it was a couple of years ago, or even a year ago, right? It's more acceptable for you to be in a collared shirt and me in a t-shirt. If we'd have done this a year and a half ago or a year ago, we'd both be in shirt and ties, the whole nine, right? And what that allows you to do is more easily communicate with the client base. So you could, you know, hop on a video Zoom call. Don't just get on the phone with your clients, hop on a video Zoom call. Better yet, go on Facebook and learn how to go live. If you do go to Google right now, type in going live on Facebook, there's a step-by-step tutorial going live on Facebook from your phone. Try to grow your audience on Facebook, but to be able to maximize that. But I think utilizing, from a marketing perspective, video and video messaging, even long form like this, I think this was a watershed moment to break down the barrier to that for most people, because they're willing to look at it, listen to it, and absorb it. Before it was like, oh, you know, I got to do a 3-minute YouTube video on some legal topic. No, talk to your consumers. If you're in a consumer-facing practice area, speak to those people. Get on there and talk.
I gotta say, I did not expect you to say that at all.
You
I
know,
was definitely, obviously, like, I asked this question and like it's a loaded question. I'm interested to hear your response because like I'm just having fun on this podcast right now. I'm not gonna
dude,
lie, but so you know Robert Gruler, right?
yeah,
Robert Gruler is an attorney. He's an attorney. You know what I mean? Like you and I make a vocation of marketing, right? Like you have your agency. I'm an in-house here at my company, and to me, Robert's story is so cool because like he's sort of the essence of like what we want to sort of create, like a Frankenstein's monster. When you and I like meet an attorney, we're like we want to make you into this guy. So Robert, for anybody who didn't watch the last episode, go watch the last episode. But he's a guy who a couple of years ago just decided like I'm going to create a bunch of videos for my law firm and put them out there and talk about stuff about helping people. And what did it do? People watched the videos. This is years ago too, and we're seeing the trend go towards this happening right now. But this years ago, he was getting calls for people that wanted answers to like the very specific questions that he was answering. So like he's in Arizona, he's in like Scottsdale, Arizona, and he would put out what I mean, and this was like a novelty idea back in the day, but what to do if you got pulled over in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you know your BAC was just above the legal limit at 11:32 p.m. at night, and the cop that pulled you over, you know, he didn't take your thing right away, and he made it this crazy specific thing, right? And if that thing happened to you and you typed it, and this guy is telling you all about what he would do if he was in your shoes, and he knows about it, right? Like he knows you're gonna call that guy, right? And he made tons of videos, but we were talking about like, you know, like 2 years ago, he had the video, his shirt is all like loose and his top button is messed up and his lapel mic is like showing the wire over here and he painted the wall blue. I watched the video, Robert. If you're watching this, it was great. I loved it. And it was very appropriate for like the 2016. I watched my own too. I just want to tell you, I had my hair like slicked back, crazy. And I wore a full suit, a
yep.
tie. I don't wear suits. This is what I wear on a normal basis. I wear polos. I wear plain t-shirts to work, like what you're wearing. I'll wear a Giants t-shirt. Go Giants. Come on, man. Um, and like, and I was talking to Andy about this too, is nobody really cares what you're wearing. Nobody cares that your suit is $10,000. In fact, that's a little out of touch, if I'm being honest. Like no one really cares. Like I got this at Kohl's, man. Let's be real. Um, the most important part is the essence and the actual content of what you're saying, providing value, right? And also it's complete sincerity. Like you're a passionate guy, I'm a passionate guy, we can talk about this stuff for hours, but that's what you need to put across. Like if you're going to get behind a video camera, you don't need to worry about what you look like, you don't need to worry. The one thing is the sound, right? Like I suggest getting into like the microphone. We were just talking about this too. But like you don't sound bad, you know what I mean? Like you're not.
No, you could do it from your phone. That's the thing. And see, I think think of it like this: before COVID, there was what's my hair look like? What's my makeup? If you're a woman, you know, am I clean shaven? Do
I've
I?
put makeup on. I'll tell you straight up. I have had makeup on in a video in the
Yeah, man.
past.
You got to go with the
Come
no
on.
shine. Yeah, it's no shine. You can't be shiny.
That's what I had.
That's it. No shine.
Yeah.
So, but in any case, there's just less of a barrier to entry than there used to be. I mean, everybody's got a smartphone now, and it's all right there, and you're able to. It's not just that you're able to perform it easier, meaning make the videos easier than you ever before. It's that people are starting to consume it differently than they used to. Like you've got someone that's still working from home at 11:30 in the morning, just browsing Facebook, and you can be there because they're at home. Like no one's shutting down the access to Facebook during work hours. Like think of all those patterns that have shifted, right? All those patterns that have shifted. When it used to be the online time for people looking for legal services tended to be in the morning. Family law was at night. PI was at night. That kind of thing. It's all changed. Like it's 11 a.m. So like we, as an example, the Google partner thing will come into play here. But so we've got AdWords campaigns, and sometimes it's necessary to make the campaign run effectively is to narrow the amount of time per day it's running, right? So you don't overspend a budget or spend through a budget rather. But we had to go through change all of that because because the time at which people are on day has the time of day at which people are online has completely shifted. And so just creating video, there's just more of a window now for it to be, there's more acceptance, there's more of a window for it to be consumed. If it's outside your comfort zone, you know, I can't help you with that. Have a husband or wife work with you on it, and you know,
You can help them with that. You can make them more comfortable.
I know I could, I know
You could. I believe in you.
I know, but
So I'm going to bring us back into the video by saying, yeah, I messed up, and we had to cut a lot of that out. And that's why this is an awkward transition. But, so I want to ask you, and then I kind of want to talk to you more about your company, but so just in general, right? There's a ton of agencies out there, a lot of marketing companies that attorneys can choose from. Maybe they specialize in marketing for lawyers. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just a marketing agency, right? But when attorneys are reaching out to these agencies, a lot of them don't know what they should be looking for, right? Like what are the red flags? What are the good things? What sort of price should they be looking for? So sort of, because you're involved in this a lot, what are the right questions that lawyers should be asking agencies when they try to find the best choice for their firm, and how do they sort of gauge, like
how do you weed through the BS?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
No, don't. So here's the deal. If you so you want to listen first before you start asking questions. Listen. If you hear things like, for $99 a month, I'll get you to the top of Google, run the other direction as fast as you can. Do not ever sign up with that company, ever. Don't be tempted. They'll demonstrate 15 different clients they've done work for. Do not ever sign up for that company, ever. Walk. Don't listen to it. If they start talking about guaranteeing you first placement or putting you up on the first page of Google and they're super expensive, walk from that too. Nobody can guarantee you placement. Nobody. If you're talking about social media marketing and they want an 80%, I'm not going to mention names here, but if they want an 80% management fee to manage ads on Facebook, walk away from that. So you want to listen to people who sound like they've got, it's just like any other sales pitch, right? You don't want a sales pitch. What you want is somebody who will ask you questions like, tell me about your law firm. Tell me about where you practice? What makes the location in which you practice different than anybody else? What sets you apart from your competitor? How long have you been involved in web marketing? Who built this website? Well, actually, they should probably know that. But you want somebody who asks you questions in a consultative way, so that you know that they're really thinking about your best interests when they're going to put something together proposal-wise, than the opposite. So in terms of asking them questions, it really boils down to references. And sometimes Google My Business, and we've got 5-star reviews on Google My Business all day. I think we have actually a 5-star review, but I would never point someone there. You want to ask for actual references, and you want to get them on the phone. You want to talk to them, and you can tell if they're pre-rehearsed or not. I would ask for them in your geography. I would go to the Google My Business for the marketing company and ask for somebody who's not on that list, because that's a prepped list. So just be wary. It's a tough question to answer, because I know firsthand companies that have really slick salespeople that actually do really good work, but they are fewer and far between. So if somebody's promising you the world, run.
I gotta admit, I do like talking to slick salespeople, only because I don't know. It sort of turns me off when I feel like somebody's people pleasing me. So I kind of want like a salesman who's gonna like give me the back and forth a little bit. But that's my personal preference. And like I wanna like lively conversation about a company and at a place where it seems like it's a good place to work and they have a good product to sell.
Well, so I would challenge them, right? And it doesn't have to be a law firm specific marketing company, although obviously that would be my preference, and because there's plenty of us out there. If you don't like me and the 4 others that look like me, there's 4 others that look something different and do different things, and that's fine. That's totally cool. The thing about law firm specific agencies is there are certain things about marketing a law firm that are very, 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 very different than any other type of business. And it's not the old, well, it's compliance with the bar. Well, yeah, that's true. That's not what it is. It's really understanding how lawyers make money. And folks who don't have a tremendous amount of experience helping law firms market themselves don't really understand how they make money. And then within that, how does a criminal defense attorney make money differently than a divorce attorney, differently than a PI attorney? And so you really need someone who understands that. A lot of times, a lot of salespeople are out there. I mean, let's face it, our industry is one it's preyed on, right? The law firms are preyed on. They are. They get hit up by everybody, and even nationally known companies prey on lawyers. I don't want to name names, but one of them starts with an F. But anyway, so it's tough. You got to be careful. Ask a lot of questions. Ask them what separates them from their competition. The one direction I don't always agree with going is ask them how many other clients they're performing SEO services for in the market. I'm kind of torn on that. It depends on, sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'll defend Scorpion here. There's a large agency called Scorpion. And they grew a lot, like, I don't know, 5 to 6, 7 years ago. And they came in, for instance, they came in locally here where they had like one client, and all of a sudden they had 50 because they hired a bunch of salespeople and they started doing a bunch of cold calling, and one thing leads to another, and you pick up clients, and that's fine. But here's the drill. Unless they're using the exact same writer to write your site, which would be unlikely, and they're using the exact same person to build your SEO program, which would be unlikely, then yeah, I think there's a conflict. But what I'm trying to say is either work with somebody local that has some experience with law firms, or find a law firm specific agency that has experience in law and start there, and then find out, read reviews, ask for referrals.
I find it funny that we see so eye to eye on things, because when you brought up Scorpion, I was like, oh no, he's gonna shit on Scorpion, because I think they do good work, and obviously, like, I've been around for like 6-7 years at this point, and I saw the rise of Scorpion, like you're saying, so I know that what you're saying is true.
It was like a phoenix. It was like a giant aircraft carrier coming out of the sea, and I mean, it was massive, their growth. I remember 10 years ago seeing a Scorpion site. I was in Dallas, Texas. I pulled up this website. I saw the Scorpion site, and I go, oh my God, how am I ever going to, like, how could we ever compete with, I mean, this is just gorgeous. It was beautiful. And some would argue some quality's gone down, whatever. I'm not here to crap on Scorpion. Here's the deal. They do a good job for a lot of people. And there are certainly worse places to be.
Yeah, I agree. And especially for somebody who, like, if that's a name that you just hear and you're like, okay, fine, like, I'll call Scorpion, they're just a trusted name, and you're one of those people that likes to do that, like, it kind of paid off for you. If you did it like in the last couple of years. I haven't followed them recently, but there are a ton of good people that work there. And I just want to go back to what you were saying about somebody who understands the business, because like for marketing, I understand, like, you need to know how they make money. And that's sort of like how we built our business, right? Is we understand how law practices are managed, so that when we call them and we offer to answer their phones, right, we understand how their phones need to be answered. Like, we don't need to ask them like, oh, what do you do when this happens? We go, no, this is what needs to happen, right? And they say yes.
I love that.
Or like, there's two ways. Which way do you do it? And they say, oh, like this. So if the person already understands, like, sort of the day-to-day, like what you're saying, like how you run your business, they obviously are going to know sort of like the message that you need to get across, right? And for me, the best thing that I can tell my prospective client is exactly how their customer finds them, hires them, pays them, right? Because that's what they care about, right? Like, you're talking about how they make money. If I understand how their customer finds them and what they're looking for, and I understand, and I can sort of like commiserate with them. Commiserate is a tough word, Nick. Sort of like, but you know what I mean? Like, if I understand the ins and outs of what makes their consumer tick, they're going to have confidence in me to go get that consumer.
That's it.
You know? So, I mean, we've been here for like an hour and 5 minutes now, but I love Precision Legal Marketing. I think you guys do a great job. Jay, your cartoons that you share in the group are so corny, dude, but they still make me laugh.
Jay is the man. You know what he tells me? He goes, "You're not funny." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not? I am funny. Come on." I take it personally. I do. He goes, "You're not funny. Just stop. I'm funny. You're not funny." And I go, "Okay, Jay, dude, his cartoons are classic."
His cartoons are classic, and I have one recommendation. I forget what it's called. I know the name of it. It's called Marketunist. Have you ever seen this?
Yes.
Okay. For anybody that wants like really great corny marketing, if you're watching this and you're like a marketing person and not a lawyer, go check out Marketunist. They just will make you go, like they won't make you laugh out loud, but you're like, oh man, like I've done that. But like I said, I love Precision Legal Marketing. So I want to talk about, like, give me your elevator pitch, man. Like how does somebody get in touch with you? Where should they go? What are you offering? Like, give me your spiel.
I mean, so I've been told by my partner and Jay that I'm really bad at my elevator pitch. Like I need to work on it.
Let's practice.
Isn't that terrible? That's so terrible. No, I mean, here's the deal. If you're listening to this right now, and anything I have said or Nick has said has resonated with you and you want to get a hold of me, I want you to call my cell phone, 757-561-6811. You call my cell phone or you text me and you and I can speak. And even if I got to pass you off to Jay, who handles all of our sales, but you and I can talk. We will find out about you and what makes you tick and what you need marketing-wise, because every situation is different. And then Jay and I can chat and we can get you some pricing and that sort of thing. But everything A to Z we do. I mean, we've done everything from billboards to arable commercials, all the way down to websites, SEO, pay-per-click, and local SEO, and you name it. We've touched everything. We're not really great at everything, or we price competitive at everything. But I would say websites, SEO, PPC, video, social media marketing, that's kind of in our wheelhouse. So if anything we've said sounds interesting, or you just want to talk about FineLaw or Scorpion, and if maybe you're a client of theirs, and maybe you're not dissatisfied, but you're wondering what you got, give me a call. We can talk about it. And I'll give you the good, bad, and ugly. I think we're pretty good at that. So
I love to hear that sort of thing, because it's like, you know, maybe I don't know that I want to leave my company, but like, you know, what were you saying about Avo? Like, I would love to talk to that guy about. And I watch these podcasts, and like sometimes you watch these things and you're like, oh, I can't ask that guy just about that one thing that he said. And like, I just think that's so cool. Like,
no, you can find me on Facebook. We're either in your group or my group, Legal Marketing Straight Talk. Call my cell phone. Let's have a chat. You want to talk about Avo? I'll tell you about my experiences with many accounts. You know, there's something we do where we are able to be the chief marketing officer of a law firm. So we handle the entire marketing budget, A to Z, dedicated account, like it's very white glove. And because of that, we end up, as marketing of the agency of record, we end up with these vendor relationships, but not only the relationships, but with the output of it. So we know conversion metrics of Avo, conversion metrics of Justia. We know who's doing what, why super lawyers. I mean, honestly, if you've got $500 a month to spend right now on anything right now, either do something on Facebook or do something on superlawyers.com. It's just that simple. So, I mean, if you're sitting out there wondering, you know, you got a little bit of money and you want to delve deeper into marketing, there's places to go. We know where you should go. There's well-paved roads to it, and we can give you the good and the bad and the ugly. And just based off speaking with you and getting to know you a little bit, it's kind of advise you on maybe some things you should think about doing. So that's us. That's me.
I love it.
Thank you.
I'm copying down your cell phone. I'm going to text you.
Yeah.
You think I'm joking?
Ladies,
I will text you.
Happily married ladies, don't
come on. Yeah. Don't, come on. I'm married too. Don't worry. We'll have an extramarital thing outside of the podcast. But Steven, I want to thank you seriously so much. This was a ton of fun.